Fox News host Laura Ingraham is apologizing for a tweet she sent going after Parkland massacre survivor and high school student David Hogg. Ingraham's original tweet said, David Hogg rejected by 4 colleges to which he applied and whines about it. Dinged by UCLA with a 4.0 GPA, totally predictable given acceptance rates. Hogg then called on advertisers to boycott Ingraham, and several companies have cut their ties, pulling their ads from Ingram's show. David Hogg joins us now live. David, great to see you as always.
Nice to see you too.
So listen, at our latest count, there's been 7 advertisers that have pulled out of Laura Ingram's show after one tweet from you. I mean, it seems like you have a lot of power at the moment, and I'm just wondering how you feel about all of this.
I think it's great that corporate America is standing with me and the rest of my friends, because when you come against any one of us, whether it be me or anybody else, you're coming against all of us. And I think it's important that we stand together as both corporate and civic America to take action against these people and show them that they cannot push us around, especially when all we're trying to do here is save lives. And when people try to distract, like Laura's trying to do right now, from what the real issue here is, which is gun violence in America, it's not only sad, it's just wrong. From a journalistic standpoint, I would say that she needs to be more objective and needs to stand down, because I am not the issue here. The issue needs to be gun violence in America, but what she's trying to do is to distract from that, and I hate it.
Listen, she's a talk show host. She's not objective. I mean, her point isn't even to be objective. She has a particular position. She's a conservative. But listen, after the advertisers started pulling out, she did issue an apology to you. I'll read it to everyone. Any student should be proud of a 4.2 GPA, including David Hogg. On reflection, in the spirit of Holy Week, I apologize for any upset or hurt my tweet caused him or any of the brave victims of Parkland. For the record, I believe my show was the first to feature David immediately after that horrific shooting, and even noted how poised he was given the tragedy. As always, he's welcome to return to the show anytime for a productive discussion. Do you accept her apology?
No. She's only apologizing after a third of her advertisers pulled out. And I think it's really disgusting, the fact that she basically tried promoting her show after apologizing to me. I think it's wrong, and I think if she really wants to do something, she could cover things like inner city violence and the real issues that we have in America. I know she's a talk show host, but as such, she also has a responsibility to show both sides of a story, you know?
Look, I mean, you and I both know how much vilification there's been during this entire tragedy. I mean, frankly, on both sides. You and your friends have been in the middle of this media maelstrom. I mean, you guys have been targeted by right-wing, websites and cable news hosts, and I don't know how you're coping through all of this.
I mean, honestly, it's most of the time for us, when I see things on Twitter of people comparing me to Hitler or calling us a communist, it's been like about 5.5 weeks now since this massacre, and it's insane because it's literally only been 5.5 weeks, and the fact that they're going after us personally shows that what we're doing is working. We have them scared, and now we have to go even harder, because this is when it really starts to matter, is when these people try going against us, because I want people to understand, we're not trying to take your guns. We're not against the Second Amendment. We don't want to repeal the Second Amendment. We simply want gun legislation in this country that allows law-abiding citizens to still own guns, but prevents people with a history of mental illness or a history of a criminal background from owning a firearm. It's as simple as that. We are for reasonable and sensible gun ownership, so long as it's responsible in the way that criminals can't get it.
Well, look, to that end, would you consider sitting down with someone like Laura Ingraham and reaching across the aisle just for the sake of common ground and trying to find the solutions that you're talking about?
See, I would like to do that, but first I would need her to be more objective in the way that she talks about us. Because if you look at any time that she talks about us on her talk show, she speaks only to her audience, which is kind of what a talk show host does. But what she does most of the time is she's like, oh, this leftist group is trying to take all your... She gets this really threatening tone about us that we don't have. We love we're people that just want everybody to come together as Americans and help us solve this issue, because we do have to reach across the aisle to solve this. This is not a Democrat or Republican issue. This is an American issue, and as such, we have to work together.
David, I am stunned that 4 colleges rejected you. What kind of dumbass colleges don't want you? I mean, you've taken the country by storm. How do you explain this? Did they reject you before the Parkland massacre, or how do you explain this?
They rejected me about 2 weeks ago, most of them. It was UCLA and UCSD. The way I explain it is we have a heavily impacted university system in America, and I think there's a lot of really good candidates that don't get into college, and I think it goes to show that regardless of whether or not you get into college, you can still change the world. The hardest part is just believing that you can and continuing that effort to change the world, because you eventually will.
David, I know that you haven't been spending much time back at Parkland High School. You've obviously this has become your mission. We've seen you on the media a lot. Are you going to go to college in September?
That's a good question. I'm thinking about it, but I may be taking a gap year at this point to work on the campaign trail on a candidate basis, not just working for Democrats, not just working for Republicans, because there's Democrats that are supported by the NRA. There are Republicans that are not supported by the NRA. Lives really are not a partisan issue. I think that's what a lot of this country is forgetting, is we are simply just trying to save lives, and once we remember that, we can all work together on both sides of the aisle to help solve this issue. But when we work against each other, we can't.
And David, just last, emotionally, how are you doing?
I'm exhausted. My flight got diverted last night, and I had to stay in D.C. another night. But it's all right. At this point, I kind of just want to be back home with my friends for a little bit, and because we have our own little family, basically, and we all support each other as such.
Well, David Hogg, it's always great to talk to you. Best of luck. We'll be checking back in with you soon. Thanks so much.